I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend.
You gotta learn to forgive others. You see, at this point in this video, I'm going to say something, and I'm not going to mention any names. No one's mentioned in this video. But the one thing that I believe in is forgiving others. But you see, here's the thing. If someone walked up to me, or let's just say someone who has offended me, made a video and apologized, by God's commandments, I have to automatically forgive him. And that's the big thing. You see, that means that I have to forgive him unconditionally. If I want a blessing from God, or if I want something from God, God commands me to forgive. And if you're a Christian, God commands you to forgive. You see, here's the thing. I'll forgive the individual because that's God's commandments if they ask me to. And you know what? I automatically forgive them no matter what. I just like to bring my point to them to where they understand. And so I say, you need to make an apology. I believe you should apologize. And you know what? If the guy's, here's the thing. When I tell someone that they need to do that, they need to understand I've already forgiven them. But I'm just getting my point across to them. But for them to actually make a video and ask for forgiveness from me for what they've done, by the rules of the law of God, I have no choice but to forgive them. You see, that's the thing. But you see, the forgiveness part of it is that I have to forgive them unconditionally. The only difference is, when I say unconditionally, that means I forgive them wholeheartedly. Now, if they're not there's a sincerity factor in this. You see, if you don't mean by saying, I'm sorry, and you have and you're being very insincere, which is between you and God, which means you come up and you say, forgive me, and you don't mean it, and you go about and you break the rules, then you have to deal with the curse of God. You see, that's where sincerity comes in. You have to be sincere when you make an apology. A lot of people, you're wondering, what am I talking about in this series? A lot of the stuff I'm going to be bringing up in later parts of this series. I'm bringing this stuff into perspective, because you got to understand it's 5 parts of this series. So this may seem like I'm rambling, but I'm actually not rambling. I'm putting together this series, and then I'm going to explain this series out a little later. So when you do the sincerity, you have to be sincere when you ask for an apology. You can't just put together an insincere apology because, well, there's consequences by doing that. There's a severe consequence if you are not sincere. And it isn't going to be the person that's forgiven you that has to deal with that consequences, who's going to punish you. It's not that person's going to do that. Even though that guy may be mad, he may come after you. But he's not the person you have to deal with. The person you have to deal with is God. And this is actually in the Bible, by the way. For those of you, I just couldn't find the scripture, but it is in the Bible. Okay? It's worded way differently, but study about curses of God. Actually, there's even mentionings of the curse of God in the New Testament. But for those of you, you understand what I'm saying is, to forgive someone is a commandment by God. You have to forgive them. If they ask you for forgiveness, you have to forgive them. And you have to do it. It doesn't matter what that person is. And let me explain this about the Christian, where you are required to forgive unconditionally. If the guy murdered your son, you have to forgive him. If the guy murdered your mom and dad, you have to forgive him. If the guy stole from you, you have to forgive him. It doesn't matter what that person did. If they ask you for forgiveness, you have to forgive them. But if they're making an insincere apology, God will get them. You understand what I'm saying? It's bad. It's bad. But you know what? That's why you have to trust God. Trusting God is the important thing. Because when you trust God, you will get a blessing. You will get a miracle. The first step of asking God is to ask God. And He will give you a miracle. But you have to have emotion. You have to forgive people. Forgiveness is an important key. When you're asking God for this, you got to pray about this. And you need to include it in your daily life when you pray. Prayer is the key. Prayer will grant you what you want. But you need to put away your hate. You see, I wrote this note yesterday when I did this. Now, later on this week, hopefully, by Tuesday or Wednesday, Pastor Mark will be putting up his part 2 of the series, and I will be airing this on Bloggerheads and on DramaTube. Unfortunately, unless I get my paid partnership, which will be hopefully this week, I'm hoping it. I will, if that happens this week, and it's granted by YouTube, I will be airing the videos that are on DramaTube and on Bloggerheads. I will be airing it on YouTube on my Through the Bible channel. For those of you on Through the Bible, the reason for this video being 2 or 3 parts is because, well, unfortunately, part 1 was a long video. My apologies, this video is so long, but I had to do this in order for the rest of this series to make sense. Thank you very much and have a nice day.